Good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday. My name is Kimberly Bishop. I'm with AARP Michigan. I'm an Associate State Director for Community Outreach, and I'd like to welcome you to the March Drumming Circle. As we continue into this season of COVID, all of our programming is virtual, and I'm glad that you've decided to join us this morning for something that's a little bit more fun. As we know, isolation is an issue for older adults. So we'd like to do some things that are interactive so that people can enjoy time together while apart. If you are interested in other AARP events, be sure to visit our website at aarp.org/Michigan. So thank you again for being here. I'd like to welcome to our event a phenomenal percussionist. I'm so excited about this event. I'm really happy that he has agreed to join us this morning. I'd like to introduce you to Bujo Kevin Jones. And should I call you Bujo? Should I call you Kevin?
You could call me. My friends call me Bujo.
Okay, we're friends, so I'm going to call you Bujo if that's okay.
Yeah, just don't call me late for dinner.
I will not. I will not. So thank you for joining us this morning, Bujo. I'd like to give people kind of what I'd like to let people know what to expect this morning. So what we're going to do, I'm going to introduce you, give a little background. Really, I'm going to let you do that yourself. But you'll notice in the comments section, you will be able to ask questions. So we will have some intro with Bujo. We will then, excuse me, we will then bring on one of our fantastic volunteers, Dr. Mary Clark, for the interactive portion. So if you don't have your drums or your noisemakers, you have like 3 seconds to do that. Whether it's a can of peanuts, a bowl and a spoon, I'm sure you have something around the house to make a little noise and get a little rhythm going. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce master percussionist. I might have just made that term up. Bujo Kevin Jones.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kim. First of all, the master part is, I always consider myself a student of the drum. So I don't know about the master part, but I try to master certain things. I'm just an okay percussionist, I think. That's the way I look at myself, because this way I keep learning. Um, Again, my name is Bujo Kevin Jones. I am a percussionist, originally from the New York, New Jersey area. I moved to Michigan 5 years ago to spend the rest of the with the love of my life. What I'd like for you to do is, everyone that's watching this at home that wants to participate, I would like for you to go. I know that Kim had said go grab something, but I'm going to give you a few ideas of what you could grab. I do this a lot with my students that I teach virtually from home, and a lot of times they don't have equipment, a drum, a hand drum, or whatever. But you can grab something like this. Like I drink plenty of Coffee Mate, maybe too much, but Coffee Mate container you can use. What I do sometimes is I have them take it off, and you can make a sound like that. Or you can get a Tupperware and play with your hand, or the tried and true, which I drove my mom crazy when I was a kid, banging on a pot. And here I have a bottle opener, can opener, but you can make noise, rhythmic noises like this. So you can grab anything to join us And that's the purpose of this, is so that you all can enjoy in the rhythm, learning a little bit about rhythm and participating, because everything in life has rhythm. When you walk, when you talk, when you work, everything in life has rhythm, because uh, life is based upon rhythm. We get up every day, hopefully around the same time, and we eat, we brush our teeth, we take shower, whatever, we go to work, or we have a rhythm to our life. And when all of our lives have rhythm, the earth spins in rhythm. There's 4 seasons, so hopefully there's still 4 seasons. Okay. Today you're going to see me. I'm going to play. I just brought a couple.
Bujo, let me interrupt you for just a second. You didn't tell us about yourself, though. You went right into the rhythm. I'd like you to share with the audience a bit of your background and experiences so they'll know why I'm so excited to have you here this morning.
Okay. I am a older person. I grew up in a town called Englewood, New Jersey. Some people may not know this particular town, but it was a hotbed for music, especially when I was younger. We had people like Dizzy Gillespie that lived in our town. Sarah Vaughan lived in our town. Wilson Pickett, the Isley Brothers, and lived in our town, along with Regina Bell and her brother Bernard Bell. All grew up. I went to school with many of those people, and I came out of there, had some excellent teachers, because music was all around me. And eventually, after studying piano and saxophone, I settled on playing the conga drums, which is one of these instruments here. I went on to play with the Isley Brothers for a total of about 13 years. And I've worked with Whitney Houston in between those years, as well as many other jazz artists in the past. I'm also a teacher. I taught in the New York City school system as a teaching artist for 18 years, and as well as worked around the city with around New York City with many jazz artists, other groups. And eventually I ended up here, and I more recently have become an artist in residence at Western Michigan University, as well as Michigan State University, where I hold weekly classes, percussion, African diaspora percussion classes. So that is a little bit, the short version. Of course, it's much.
Thank you.
So the first thing, I wanted to introduce you to a drum, which is called a conga drum. This is a very, very common drum that you've seen around, I'm sure, playing, on stage with many salsa groups. The conga drum sounds like this. And the djembe drum. Everybody say djembe.
Djembe.
Yes. So the djembe drum is much older, comes from the Mali Empire, from the Mande people in Guinea. And it's basically, it's one shell. It was carved from one shell. It has rope. And in this drum, it has goat skin, which is a little bit thinner than the cow skin that's on a conga drum. And the sounds that you could get sound like this. There's 3 basic sounds of the drum. There's a tone, there's a bass, and there's a slap. So those 3 basic sounds, there's other sounds that you could get too. You have open, what we call tone, bass, slap. That's an open slap, closed slap. Then you have another technique, which is from Ivory Coast, which is like what we call topalon.
I hope that's not what you're teaching us today.
No, but that shows all three of those uh, notes or sounds into action. So we're going to start really simple today, and I want each one of you to grab an instrument. And I think that I believe that I'm going to have some help today
You
from
are.
Mary Clark, who's going to come on and be sort of my audience, since I won't be able to see everybody like a huge Zoom meeting. But I really asked the people at AARP if I could have some sort of audience so we could do some call and response, which is a part of the African tradition of music. Okay, so welcome, Dr. Clark.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Bujo.
Thank you for being part of the audience. So what I'd like to do is to start out really, really simple. And part of playing this music is counting. And why do I say counting? When we count, a lot of times, as we age, sometimes things get a little foggy up in here. Okay? So what I'd like to do is to learn a rhythm, which is really, really simple. It's only 3 notes. Okay?
Okay.
So if you could grab even a Tupperware or some sort of container or a pot of anything, we're just going to learn this rhythm. Very, very, very simple. So, and if you do have a drum at home, I'd like you just to, all right, yes. Okay, ashe.
Ashe.
Okay, so we're going to place our hand in the middle and play what we call a bass sound. So it's going to sound like this. Okay? Right. So let's play 1, 2. Yes. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and yes. So there's only 3 notes. So it's going to sound like this. I'm going to play it with a pulse. Now I have a cowbell hooked up on my foot, so you'll hear the pulse. So if everybody can hear this, that would be good. That's our pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, Now, if you want to get a little more fancy, and if you want to add 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1. Okay. One, two, three, and very good.
Thank you. That was fun.
Okay. So because we're virtual, please know that that it's not going to, it may not always sound like we're together because there's a slight delay, like a split second delay in transmission. So please understand that at home. Okay. So we're going to move on and we're going to learn a different rhythm, right? So we counted the last rhythm, which was 1, 2, and 1. So that was basically 3 notes. Okay. So now we're going to play a rhythm, Congolese rhythm that I learned that we played with kids, right? It's called Mwana. Mwana. M-W-A-N-A. Mwana.
Mwana.
Yes. And so if you could count to 7, you're good. Okay? Mwana is sort of like means kind of like sunrise in Lingala. Okay?
Okay.
I'm just going to stick with this drum so the sound won't change. Okay? So we're going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's bass, tone, bass, tone, bass, tone, bass. Right?
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, Dr. Clark, you could try that. Right. Very good. So that's the first half of the rhythm. That's the first half.
Okay.
The second half is almost exactly the same, except the last couple of notes are different. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 1. And a little bit faster. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then last time. 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So why is that helpful? That's helpful because you have to count and counting, and so you have to memorize. So it's not just there's 2 sections of the rhythm, and the rhythm can be broken down. You know, the pulse is there, everybody can play that. But also, if you have to remember to count to 7 and then 6 and then the 1, 2, 3, it's sort of almost like algebra, you know? So that's the way we teach, and sometimes I include mathematics, especially to when I teach children. So we're going to move on because our time is limited. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each rhythm. And I hope that you all are enjoying. For those of you that have shakers, so you can different ways that you can utilize your shaker. Here's a vitamin bottle. You could just play. I don't know if you can hear this. Or you can play, this is the Orville Redenbacher popcorn shaker. You can play it like this. You could turn it on the side and play. One, two, three, and stop. So I'm going to need all of my shaker people on this rhythm. It's a rhythm that I first learned and first heard by Babatunde Olatunji. Babatunde Olatunji was a master drummer and one of the original, really started the movement for African drumming here in the United States. So it's a rhythm that they teach in school, and there's a song to it. So I want to, let's do it today. Is that okay? Can we do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Do
Okay.
it.
So the first thing that we're going to learn is we're going to break the rhythm down into two parts. The first note is going to be a bass. Bass. Everybody play a bass. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bass. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bass. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bass. Very good. There's 3 more notes after that. We're going to play bass. Chum, chum, chum. Bass. Chum, chum, chum. Bass. Chum, chum, chum. 1, 2, ready, play. Bass. Chum, chum, chum. 1, 2, ready again. Bass. Chum, chum, chum. 1, 2, ready again. Chum, chum, chum. 1, 2, ready again. Bass. Chum, chum, chum. 1, 2, ready again. Bass. Chum, chum, chum. 1, 2, ready again. Bass. Chum, chum, chum. Okay? So now, that's the first half. The first half of the rhythm. How many notes was that?
3,
No.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, play. Bass. Chum, chum, chum. Okay, the second half of the rhythm. Bass, bass. Bass, bass, chum, chum. Bass, bass, chum, chum. 1, 2, ready again. 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 Bass, bass, chum, chum. Okay, so we're going to put those two together. The first part, bass, tone, tone, tone. Then bass, bass, tone, tone. So I'll play it very slow so you guys can remember it. All together, how many notes? 4,
4, 8.
8 notes, right? Bass, tone, 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 bass, bass, tone, tone. I'll do it slower. I'm sorry. I said I was going to do it slower. Bass, tone, 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 bass, bass, tone, tone, bass, tone, 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 bass, bass, tone, tone, bass, tone, 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 bass, bass, tone, tone. Everybody give yourselves a hand.
That was wonderful. We should do this every weekend.
Okay, I'm down. Let's do it. 11 o'clock every Saturday, right here.
I think a lot of the comments were saying that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Clark, for joining us. I know that you have another engagement, so you're not able to stay with us any longer, but thank you so very much for joining us. This has been a fantastic event.
Thank you so much for having me. And Bujo Kevin Jones, you have added so much pleasure to my morning. Thank you.
Absolutely. So as we transition from the live drumming portion of this, I'd like to give people an opportunity for Q&A, but as they let their hands recover a little bit from their shaking and drumming, there is a question that I meant to ask at the beginning that I did not ask, which is, where does Bujo come from?
Oh, that's a spiritual name that one of my teachers gave me. It's sort of ghetto spiritual, I guess. No, one of my teachers, Marvin Smith, who's a fabulous drummer, that started teaching me when I was a child, like I was 10, 11 years old, 12 years old. And sort of means moment to moment. Sort of the Bu actually stands for Buddhahood, moment to moment. So that's sort of just his thing. And I've kept it. And there's so many Kevin Joneses in the world. You know, there's Kevin Jones, a football player, Kevin Jones, a guitar player, Kevin Jones, the runner, Kevin Jones, the snowboarder. So it's like, I give up.
But there is only one Bujo. I can say that. I can say that for sure. I would just like to give a shout out to some of the people who have posted in the chat. We have Ellen and Beth who are here from Tampa. Sandy's on from West Virginia. We have Dawn from New York, Irene from New Mexico, Anne from Pennsylvania. There's someone from Central Illinois whose name I didn't write down. I'm sorry. And Tim says, please do this again. So I think we all echo Dr. Clark's sentiments and wanting to do this again. So if we can talk Bujo into doing this again, we'll be here at the same time, same place next month. So if you could share a little bit with us about your background, well, not your background, but your experience and what drumming has done for you personally, because you have such, a strong connection to drumming and how it has improved your life, not just as a profession. Can you share a little bit of that with us, please?
Well, sure. So I'm 61 years old. I have played most of my life, and definitely all of my adult life. Drumming is a very spiritual journey for me. It's not just a hobby, and I go out on the weekend in the park and play with some of the people in the park, kind of thing. As a professional, obviously, I've worked with, some of the greats in the music business. But I've also, it's also a journey for me in terms of always trying to learn more. For instance, the djembe is something that I haven't always played. It's more of a recent addition to my percussion world, language, vocabulary. But in another sense, drumming is very, very healing in terms of physically, spiritually, and mentally. So what do I mean by that? I mean that the drum evokes the spirits, and it was also used to actually do that. The drumming and the music the drumming and the music were always used as a means to reach the reach the gods or the spiritual world. I'm sure you've all seen some, or many of you can imagine you've seen clips of people going and into like trances when they play the drum. It's in Hollywood, it's kind of overdone, but so spiritually, physically, it's very aerobic. It's very you sweat, you're physical, you're using your arms, you're breathing deeply, and mentally you're also drumming involves, if you're doing it correctly, involves a lot of counting, remembering, recall, and that sort of thing. About 7 years ago, I had started over the summertime. I had started experiencing some headaches, and I couldn't seem to get rid of these headaches, and they kept persisting, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse over that summer. Finally, at the end of August, I remember, I think it was Labor Day weekend. The headaches got so bad that I actually passed out, and I thought I just had like migraines. I was on a gig and I fell down as I was leaving the club, and I couldn't understand why. I went home, and the next day, I still had this headache. I tried all kinds of remedies. I was taking, aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen, anything I can get my hands on, because the headache was so bad. So I decided I should go and get it checked out. And I went to the emergency room, and they told me that I had a brain bleed and that I needed emergency surgery. It turned out it was what they call a subdural hematoma. And that's when your brain vessel breaks in your brain, or on the surface of your brain, actually, and fills the cavity of your skull up. Inside of that cavity, fills it up, and it had pressed my brain over. It took, the blood actually took up almost a quarter of the brain of my skull.
Wow.
And I had to have surgery like right away. I mean, I was like really in a lot of pain. The recovery from that surgery was pretty intense, because they had to open up my skull in 2 places and drain all the blood out of my skull. The recovery, however, I was told that from one of my doctors, that because I played drums and played music, that I had a great chance of having a full recovery. When I tried to play after the surgery, my left side was very, very weak, and it took a lot of physical and occupational therapy. But it was the actual drumming. My family doctor said, what you need to do is you need to go out and just play. That's really going to help you. After about 3 months of being like, oh, I got headaches, I got this, I got that.
Mhm.
And I started to play, and I went back and started teaching at school as many days as I could stand it within reason. And, all of a sudden my recovery sped up.
Wow.
And, it was a lot of hard work to get back to where I wanted to be and to get where I am today. But it was very, the drumming was very, very essential to my recovery, because not only was I getting back to what I do and what I love, but it also triggers the you have all of these nerve endings, these things going on inside your brain, it's like spark plugs,
Right.
and when those die, it's very difficult to get them restarted again.
Reconnect.
almost like when it's cold and you try to start your car, it doesn't turn over. And it's like you're trying to make sure, you're like, what is it? Please turn over, and you start praying, like, I need to start my car. But the same thing. It sort of was like it jump started my recovery when I started playing.
What an amazing, amazing story. There are a couple questions, and I'd like to share some of the comments that our viewers have posted. And one said she was worked up a sweat doing this. Someone said they smiled the entire time. I'd like to shout out one of our volunteers, Luana from Jackson, who is here. Several people have requested more and an encore. And I do need to apologize. It sounds like people were experiencing a delay between you and Mary. So we'll have to figure that out for next time, because there was some feedback that made it a little bit difficult, but people seem to work through it. And someone has an African gray parrot who was enjoying it. So so you've got, all kinds of fans here. But a couple questions. One from Suzanne. She wants to know, what kind of exercises do you recommend to strengthen and stretch the muscles to use for drumming?
Well, what I do is in the morning is, well, you can't, unless I can't stand back. But anyway, what I do is I stretch my arms out like this,
Mm-hmm.
and just open and close, open and close, open and close, open and close. Now, if you have any kind of ailments, make sure that you do it slow, that you're not doing this. This is easier. All right.
And again, we're not sharing medical advice. Bujo is just showing you what he does and what works for him.
Right. So. Exactly. I also just do this. When you breathe in, I'm just doing this a little fast, but a lot of times I just do this. And I breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And that helps me relax. I think any physician, any doctor out there would say breathing in and breathing out is a good thing.
I'm not a doctor, but I agree with that as well.
As well as trying to make sure that that you have enough oxygen going through your body. I'm not trying to give medical advice, but
right.
Exactly. I try to get up in the morning. Lately, I've been trying to drink more water in the morning and doing some stretching exercises and that kind of thing. So there is not really a set, like this is like, these are the exercises to play the hand drum,
exactly. Like right.
Specific thing.
So we have a question from Connie. She'd like to know, is the drum that you used, and I know you used more than one, supposed to be flat on the floor, or should it be tilted?
It should be, it's a good question. It should be tilted. So I'll just grab a conga drum and I'll just put so this is my drum resting on the floor. I tilt it forward. Because, the sound needs to come out of the drum, needs to come from the drum. The best scenario is to be able to tilt your drum forward a little bit, not backwards, because that's not a good position. So if you have your drum like this, that's not good, because it causes I'll do it like this. It causes you to have to pull this hand back more.
Okay.
If you tilt it inward, it's not a good position, because I don't want people to play the drum and injure themselves. So I tilt it forward like this. So it gives it a little bit more sound, and you're also in a position where your hands and your arms reach the drum correctly.
Okay. We have just so much positive feedback. We have Roger saying he can't wait to do it with his granddaughter. More people asking for encores. And we have Dawn who said there was a point when her thinking and counting stopped and she just began to feel the rhythm. So it sounds like you have done your job. And Ellen and I, on behalf of AARPI as well, really thank you for being willing to share not only your talents, but your personal story with us, because that was just so meaningful. And, you know, the relationship between music and health and happiness, it exists, you know, I'm not a medical professional, so I can't speak to that, but hearing your story and your experience really just reinforces how healing music can be on so many levels. As we are winding down to a close, if anyone has any last questions, please post them now. And Luana says she can't wait for the next session. And Karina has asked that if people would like to share a picture in the comments, that would be great, of you and your instruments. But do you have any final words or any final thoughts for us before we close today?
Not anything heavy.
We don't want anything heavy.
You know, enjoy life. You know, music is part of what makes us human and separates us. Music and art, and this art in particular speaks to the very depth of our beings, very primal part of our existence as human beings. So I encourage everybody to pick up a drum. You don't have to be a professional. Pick up a shaker, shake it. Even if you don't think that you can play something, that you're not doing it correctly, it's okay, because everybody starts someplace. I didn't know what the heck I was doing when I was 10 years old. I just was beating on stuff, you know, and eventually I became a professional. But that doesn't have to be your goal. You can just pick it up to enjoy being part of it. Pick up a shaker, get some Orville Redenbacher. You can dance around your home, turn the music up loud, and shake to your heart's content. Or play on a pot, or you become a part of it rather than being an observer.
And it becomes a part of you. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of you, and you joining in to be a part of AARP this morning. I'd like to invite all of our viewers to be sure to visit our website at aarp.org/MI so that you can learn more about our virtual events, which you see the address is flashing on the screen. So thank you so much. And I think I'm going to end with a comment from one of our viewers. It says, music is powerful stuff that moves the invisible insides of our souls. Thank you for sharing this. I know, I couldn't have closed any better than that myself. So thank you, Sandy, for posting that. Okay.
Thank you. Take care. What's the next time?
What's the next time? We'll have to talk about that. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you very soon.